Assalamu alaikum and greetings to all of you, our viewers the world over. We are back again today, Wednesday, 9th of November 2022. We are going to discuss issues, far-ranging issues concerning as a people, as a country, and as a community, and the whole world over. Because the world is so interrelated now. One thing that is happening in a small corner affects everybody else. So that is why issues that we are raising here are so implicatory, and we have to discuss them so that we can engage each other, and we can take stock of issues that are happening in our backyard and that affects our people all over the world. So for that being the case today, and we're not going to go far in terms of our introductions and all those things. I'm going to go straight and introduce our guest. This guest is one of the young Gambian intellectuals. He might be young in age-wise anyway, but his experience, stretches across the world. From the military in the United Kingdom, that crisscross all over the world with the experience that he have work with different charities in this country. On top of that, he is qualified. He got his first degree and he got his master's degree also. For a young man, what an experience it is. So we are going to discuss about issues, the current affairs, that are happening in the Gambia. There are a lot, but we're just going to have, what time allow us. Those are some of the topics that we are going to discuss. Welcome to GunjurOnline, Brother Assan.
Thank you very much, Brother Ebrima. Thank you very much for having me on this platform. I say greetings to everyone who is listening and will be listening later on. Like you say, my name is Assan Jaiteh. I'm hail from Basse, or reside in United Kingdom.
Yeah. This is so important, bro, and we are definitely pleased to have you back again to discuss further, and we are always grateful to have people to come voluntarily, to discuss issues. And these issues, no matter how contradictory they are, no matter how engaging they are, no matter what, it does have a lot of impact on many people. So it is always a pleasure to come here because dialogue is not fighting. It's just about to come and discuss things and engage each other so that we can educate ourselves, and other people can also listen. Probably somewhere, somebody will have one or two issues that is going to benefit them, and this might go on and on and on. So it is important, especially young people like us. We have to engage ourselves on issues and ideas that matters, so that we can turn those energies and those issues and ideas, reflect on them, and see how best we can use these ideas to develop our country, to develop our communities, to develop and have impact over the whole world. Anyway, so thank you so much, brother. We are going to straight go into the topics. There are a lot of issues happening in our country, and every country there are issues all over the place. It's not only Gambia that we have all the issues, that makes a country, or doesn't make a people, because you have to have challenges, you have to have issues, and you have to react to try and see how you can address those issues anyway. So that's why we are here. But we are going to go straight away, to the cost of living in the Gambia. Cost of living, this is affecting everybody else, not only Gambia. It has an international dimension. It has a local dimension that we are going, and this is affecting us. But that topic, we are going to do that some another day. What we're going to jump on, the one that we have control on, as a people, that nobody will argue that, at least this has an international dimension or whatever. Might be. But, bulkily, that is corruption in the country. As I'm going to the Vice President, Mr. Badara Diouf stood in front of the cabinet colleague and senior government officials, telling them that the Gambians are not at ease. In his address to the first cabinet retreat in June, he lamented about the incidents of corruption, underperformance, poor delivery, and lack of discipline and public service and all those things. But last week also, we have Finance Minister, Mr. Sidhu Keita, is acknowledging that corruption is rampant. His words, corruption is rampant in the government, which is perpetrated together with the private sector also. And these are senior people that are the health minister also. We at the beginning, a few months ago or a few years ago, also lament about the mustering of corruption in the country. And also, Mr. Sangare also released a press release, concerning about the Gam Petroleum Fuel Depot and about nearly 10,753 metric ton of petrol. That is equivalent to about nearly over 20 million US dollar that went missing. And so we can go on and on and on. So I want you to give us your opinion there and tell us some of the things that are responsible for this, and what can we do as a country together to mitigate this, because we cannot go on with this amount of corruption for a small and poor country like ours. Go ahead, Mr. Jaiteh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Janneh. Also, for bringing up this topic. This is a hot topic at the moment in Gambia. It has never been so important to talk about corruption than now. Gambia being a small country, gained our independence in 1965. Until today, some of the basic needs, are not present that our people can enjoy. The basic services, these are all due to, like what you said here, corruption. And no, we cannot hide, anywhere. Nobody can stand here and start defending anybody about corruption, because it has been happening. It was one of the reasons why, the junta came in 1994 to say Jawara's government is corrupt, so we have to take over, and then they justified that with corruption, right? And many people, join them, in the pretext that they come in to fight corruption. All for them to turn up to be the biggest, culprits of corrupt officials. So 22 years we have been in that, in that cycle of corruption, and come 2016, coalition of Gambian political parties come together, with the same slogan of, fighting corruption, good governance, accountability, and all these things, all these fancy words that you can come up with. We are pushed down to electorates, and then we bought it, and then we put them in power. 5-6 years down the line, it's the same thing that we are talking about. Can we be tired of talking about this? No, we can't be. But what we are doing, as people, is come around, and highlight. But if our officials themselves, like the vice president, who is second in command, come out and tell us this, the Minister of Health, the Finance Minister, it cannot be any higher than these three, apart from the president, right? So it means it is there. So we are not going to hide anywhere to say, it's not there. But what we are going to say here is, these corruptions, like the Finance Minister says, is not only perpetuated by the government. This is both the government and the private sector. And in fact, it's more prevalent in the private sector than it is in the government. But you cannot talk about private sector. It has to be in tandem with the government, because these are the two that goes hand in hand. But we don't have much to say about the private sector, because we are not paying our taxes at the private sector. We are paying our taxes at the government. And then government need to address these things, because this is one of the biggest killer. Like Professor Luhumba says, the biggest killer in Africa is not the guns, although the guns play part, right? Much part that we see. But the biggest killer, in Africa is the silent killer, which is corruption. We've all seen what happened just a month ago or 2 months ago with the acute kidney injuries. What resulted to that is corruption. So all these things are going in the country, and partly, we have corrupt officials who are doing this, but also we have a passive, officials who are seeing these things but could not do much about it. I don't know why, they could not. Is it because they don't have tangible evidence that they can produce, at courts to prosecute these people? Or is it because of people, are very good at hiding their corruption in that level, but we can see it? So this is where, I'm trying to struggle, which is which.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Jaiteh. Once again, listeners all over the world. Our guest today is Mr. A young man. He is an intellectual, for that matter. Mr. Assan Jaiteh is here with us, to give us his opinion. because that's what we do, in this platform, to allow people, to discuss issues so that we don't forget and sweep these things under the carpet. Mr. Jaiteh, that's a very, very important thing, because, everybody is affected by corruption, and sometimes not only the government, although, as you said, we pay taxes and we hold government accountable, but even individuals are even involved. They are culpable in corruption, one way or the other, because, people give bribes and all those things to have a shortcut to things and all those things. So, and sometimes even at local level, at our organizations and all those things, because sometimes corruption is so endemic in our country to the extent that people think it's normal to do some of those things to get certain services and all those things. But we are going to focus, because the amount that the government, because in terms of the whether they know it or not, I think one of the things that the Constitution required is to give the Auditor General to go and account, so that we can see physical transparencies and all those things, to do check and balances and all that, and give his report every year. But the Auditor General has lamented many times that and then he said last 3 years, that's about since 2019 to date, and he gave about nearly 8 report, finance report or auditor reports, which were shared with the National Assembly, the Gambia Police Force. He said, but to no action is being taken, so because people are being, there's evidence that for people to take responsibilities, that some of these things has missing and all those, or there are questions that are not answered, but nothing is happening in this, in that. And the Constitution empowered this man to audit the books of the government. And normally what the auditors does is, auditors don't come and investigate. They ask you about your documents. You give them your document, they go through it and see loopholes and all those things and ask you why this is this, this is not this, is not this. So but they, so definitely somebody somewhere knew that corruption is going on. If the health minister, the finance minister, if the vice president knows there's rampant corruption in the country, and auditors' aid reports are there, so the government knows they cannot. And because the Gum Petroleum one that I told you, this is a press release from Mr. Sangare, that is 31st of October 2021. He said, because the presidents, they say, according to the headline, Presidential Task Force uncovered fraud, massive procedural error, dereliction of duty, recklessness, and lack of transparency at Gum Petroleum. As I said, about nearly 20 million US dollar went missing. About 10,753 metric tons of petrol has gone, and so they knew. I think the government need to come out and be willing and be bold enough and take the bull by the horn. Those who are implicated one way or the other, take them to court. Whether they will be free or not, we don't know. That's left to the court. But at least people should be saying, the government doing something to address these things. But Mr. Jaiteh, go ahead. What is your thought in that before I go into another thing about corruption?
Yeah, so you see, the issue of corruption is on two sides, right? Is us discussing corruption and us identifying corruption. But it's another, step that government also take, which is to prosecute those that are accused of corruption. Two cases come to my mind at the moment, which is the Fisheries Permanent Secretary, Dr. Banja's case, right? And then also this Gum Petroleum case that you are talking about, because both these cases, the state took these cases to court, and one of them has been determined, and those culprits were free, right? Which is the Gum Petroleum case. The problem is, like, we all knew, or we all presume that there is corruption in the Gambia, and you don't have to go far to see it happening, because when somebody is employed at Ministry of Petroleum or GRA or ports, within 2 years that person is building a story building, questions should be asked, right? But here is the thing. Government will now take these individuals to court only for the evidence to be too weak to prosecute them, simply because the witnesses will not turn up. That is what happened in the Gum Petroleum case, right? We can blame government every time that we identify corruption. But if people are not coming as witnesses, the cases will not be, the evidence will not be strong to prosecute these people. And these people need to be prosecuted, because that guy is freed. Probably they're going to compensate him. We all knew what he did. Government knew what he did, but the courts cannot prosecute him simply because the evidence are too weak. Why that is because the witnesses did not come forward to give evidence. Okay, look at the corruption at its highest happened in State House without diplomatic passports, right? That case is still going on. How can a corruption case which involves diplomatic passport can be going on for 2 or 3 years, right? Our judiciary also need to, come here, and be quick with these cases, because if a corruption case took 3-4 years, then at the end people will be, people will not have interest in it, and then who is going to be blamed is the state. So here I think everybody around this issue need to tighten up their belt, and do what is supposed to be, so that these things can be dealt with. Corruption cases should not take a year. Why should it take a year?
Definitely,
right?
Definitely.
It shouldn't take a year. So we all knew that government took 2 people to court. That's as far as I know. This is what I know, right? But the third one is the diplomatic case, and that is still going on. So far, none of these people from 27 to today, I've not heard anybody who has gone to jail because of corruption. And this is the only thing that Gambians talk about. Even the kids in primary school, if you ask them about corruption, they will tell you this government is corrupt. They will tell you our officials are corrupt. Everywhere you talk about, they talk about corruption. But nobody is going to jail. So this is where Gambians need to interrogate. Why are people not being prosecuted for corruption? But when everybody is talking about corruption, right? And corruption, like I said, is between 2 people, right? This December, Ebrima, I can tell you, many Gambians that are in diaspora, who are also, the active, participants in corruption, is us in diaspora. Because here we will go to Gambia in December, right? And then when we get to the airport, instead of we queue, right, to stamp our passport, I will see somebody who is probably my classmate or my relative, and then he will call me, I'll give him my passport. He will go there, stamp it, come and give it to me. I'll give him $10 or 10 pounds, right? What? So you see, we do corruption conveniently. When we are convenient with it, right, we do it and go. But when somebody does it, we start shouting. So corruption in Gambia, if you want to stop corruption, we all have to be firm and do not look at each other's eye as this is my relatives, this was my classmate, this is from my town, or I'm from the same party with this guy. Corruption has to be stamped wherever it comes from. Whoever does it need to face the tune. If we do this as a country, our country will progress. The amount of money we lose in the hands of these bad corrupt officials, that alone can increase salary, that can build new hospitals, that can build correct scientific research centers, that can build a lot in our country. But for one person, we'll take a bulk of our money in the name of corruption, and nothing will come out of it. And we call that Mandika Counter Bafubo. How can that be? We all have to. This is a collective fight. This is a collective fight that everybody have to be involved, right? Self-discipline. Discipline yourself. Do not entice the other party in corruption. You send your container to Gambia, you go to port, pay what is due, right? Don't expect somebody to do you a favor and give them half of what you need to pay and then go. Pay what is due. But we do backhands, and then we now come and blame government officials. I think, if we want to address corruption, it has to start with us. Everybody have to look at what they do. How do I participate in corruption? How do I stop it? If I go to Gambia, do I need to bribe a policeman? When I do wrong in the traffic, right? Do I have to bribe a judge when I'm in court because I'm from Europe? I've got the money, right? We all have to look at ourselves. Then we will fight this corruption together, because it's a cancer that is killing our country.
Yeah, it is a cancer. It's killing kids. It's killing our women. It's killing everybody. Education standards are going down. Kids are sitting on the trees, with no chairs in classrooms or no classrooms at all, because of corruption. So this is so important anyway. I think the officials in countries that are organized, that are, because corruption is all over the place. But one thing that nobody is going to do here is to go to the airport and bribe an airport staff, because the consequence, their response to you. Nobody is going to go to the police and tell police, and sometimes the police don't have much, even at NHS, people are querying about their salaries and all those in this country. But what that individual is going to do to you, or what that is going to cost to you. But and the government also is lacking in terms of prosecution, because yes, the Banja case, Banja went and all those things, but it's still pending and he's being paid anyway. And the Gum Petroleum, yes, he went to court and the case collapsed and all those things. Even though there is a lot of irregularities, we are not going to go into those. But so far, since about nearly 6 years, I'm not saying Janneh's time, because at that time, the rampant corruption, even Jawara time. But even at Jawara time, there's a saying Jawara will say, this is your ship. Wherever you harness your ship in, that's where the ship is going to feed, and this has feed into people. But then only 2 people has been prosecuted. But we have the security report case that came, and we have about nearly $669 million that was, in a special security account. Even the government came out. They said this account has been used since Janneh time, but their time, 35 million, they used only 35 million. Where that 35 million goes, who opened that account and all those things, we didn't know those things anyway. But one thing that is so alarming, seeing because this is not about, this is about the whole country. Anything that is affecting us as a people, we need to address it as a people, because this has been building up, the corruption, until to the extent that it brings inefficiency, it brings, crime, it brings every kind of stuff. Because the ports we are talking about, when you take your container into the port, they deliberately frustrate you. And any day your container is there without giving them money, they charge you for extra money. So people get so frustrated. If you want to report somebody, you go nowhere, because nobody is going to do anything about it anyway. So the more your container stays, people are being charged, and these people are sitting there, they're just kind of telling you have to give us something if you want something. If there is a window that people can go and report and action be taken, at least that can cover people. But you get stuck, you hit the hard wall, because nobody listening to you. But one thing that also that the government can do very well is to pass the anti-corruption bill they call AC. This anti-corruption bill has been sitting there, since 2019.
They pass it. That's not assembly.
Access to Information Act, not anti-corruption bill. They didn't pass anti-corruption bill. It's still sitting there, and all those, whatever there's a lot of reasons and all those things, The 2 bills went together in 2019. That the Access to Information Act, which is passed now, but the anti-corruption bill is still there. The
No. Ibrahim, the anti-corruption bill has been approved by National Assembly since February.
No. Just do your research. The anti-corruption.
No. Check with Foria. It has not been implemented by the government. It has not been implemented by the government, but it has been passed by the National Assembly. What the government need to do now, what the president need to do now, the president need to constitute a commission by appointing a commissioner. That is the stage they are in now. But it has been passed from National Assembly.
The anti-corruption bill is not in our constitution. It is not there for now. So it cannot just be, even though it went into the parliament. I know they started to talk about it. They say some of the hindrance, it went there. There were not enough people. They don't have the quorum to discuss it to the fullest and all those things. But no, even that is happening now, for since about nearly 6 years now, or maybe we can say about 4 years, it has not been in our constitution and all those. So in essence, it's not effective. So there is very, very small latitude for you to prosecute people and all those things, the police and all those things, because this bill is not there. And for some reason, it has never been passed into a law and all those things. So what government can do here is to process these things quickly and pass it into law, so that people, even though you can take them to court and they're free. That is what democracy is. But take them to court. Let them know that if you've been accused, whether you can go to the court and defend yourself. But if all these things are coming, nobody is being taken to the court. People think they can easily get away with these things. That's the whole issue. Take them to court. Whether they will be successful or not, that depends on the court to discuss. But government, at least it is government's role. Auditors General report, definitely there's a lot of report, and all those reports, if you've been following them, you will see the implications there. There are people or departments who are responsible for this. At least, even if there is nothing there, the white paper can come and see and all those things. There's many things that government can do to reduce the amount of corruption that is happening. But if government has taken only 2 people to court and those court fails, that is really not good enough with the amount of corruption that we have in that country. So one thing that government can do is to fast track and put the anti-corruption bill and put it into a law. That's also going to help them, which is not happening in the country.
You are right, Mr. Janneh. What government need to do. You see, what happened in the Gambia from 2017 to date is just pure lack of discipline, right? I call it lack of discipline. Lack of discipline in the sense that there is lots of food dragging, right? People drag their food on very, very important issues that cost people's life. That is where they drag their food, right? Because this anti-corruption bill that we are talking about has been talked about since 2017. Until now, 2022 February, it has been approved by the National Assembly, but it hasn't been implemented by the government yet. Why? This is all because of the food dragging. One thing that we need to do as a Gambian, right, is we need to be disciplined. You see, in everything you're doing in your life, if you are not disciplined, forget it. Discipline makes you to do the right thing and forgo the wrong thing, even whereas nobody is watching you. As long as a government official, you swear to the Quran if you are a Muslim, to the Bible if you are a Christian, to whatever book if you are a non-practicing religious guy, right? You swear to the Quran that you're going to execute your duties fair and with fairness, with integrity, and yet you fail in executing your duty in that fairness. That is lack of discipline. Discipline is what needs to be emphasized, and people to inculcate discipline in whatever they do. Because if you are not disciplined, because once nobody is watching you, you are going to do dubious things. You said this. You said here, you dare not bribe a policeman, right? Here, you dare not bribe an NHS worker, ambulance, whoever. You know why? Because the standard they put up there, right? Even by their colleagues, much more the hierarchy is too high and it's too risky, because you don't know the person you are talking. Even if that police officer wants to take bribe, he doesn't know whether that person is a whistleblower. He doesn't know whether that person is an undercover. We've seen here what undercover journalists go through, to make sure that these offices don't do corruption. Right? Yes, here people are corrupt, but the corruption here doesn't affect me and you. In the sense that, corruption does not stop the NHS from working. Corruption does not stop council from building our roads, right? But the level of corruption in our countries, are causing lives. They are scattering people's dream. And this is where our challenge should be. Right now, Gambia, there is no war that is worth fighting. There is no war that is worth fighting than corruption.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Than corruption. To be honest, that is because I in most of my assignments in uni, I've been writing about corruption and security. And I choose West Africa most of the time. And I looked into different countries. And in all these countries, one thing that they all share in common in terms of conflict is corruption. And Gambia nearly have got the test in December 30th, 2014, when those officers at Denton Bridge were corrupted, were given a bribe by an officer whose taxi was loaded with guns. He didn't know, he didn't search it, but because that guy gave him money, he went past. That nearly set our country on fire. Even though we did like Janneh, but that could have gone wrong, and we could have been another Sierra Leone. So you see what corruption does, right? This is why, for me, it doesn't matter. I support this government. I choose to support the government. But corruption is not in my, it's one of the things that I detest to the highest, to the core.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I hope many people are like you, because this is affecting all of us as a people. The services there, we all know the standard of services there and all those things. Somebody somewhere need to start accounting people, where people default, where people are not honest, and those people need to be punished. There should be a law that's going to punish. But the laws are there. There's all the good laws that we can think about are in the Gambia, really, in our statutory books. It's just for somebody to enforce those laws. But once people can see that, we can get away with more, because that's what corruption can do. We definitely, there's nowhere in this world, no matter how rich that country is, for a civil servant to come into government or to come into government departments and all those things, either, parastatals, and all those things, within 5 years or within 3 years, that 2 multi-million mansions, cars and all those things and all those, that's just not possible. Somewhere, somebody need to plug those holes. That is definitely, because government is hemorrhaging. Government, as if people are stealing, what the government is going to do is to go and borrow and fill those loopholes. And those borrowing, even my grandsons and daughters are going to pay those things, So the next generation's life are going to get more and more implicatory. That is why, and at the end of the day, any government that is there, that's government going to take the brunt. That's why the governments that are going to be the status quo need to be very strong and not compromise on corruption at all. Because, definitely corruption is undermining the government, is undermining our institutions wherever you go. Because, I have this, the US ambassador in 2020 discussing the online problems with the Auditor General's report being late. Ambassador Pascal said, despite public corruption being one of the leading concerns of Gambians, and the fact that it is happening, public officials are not charged for public corruption. So these are some of the things if individual, for example, I know people who are from rags, and today they are in the pinnacle of everything. Those people didn't deserve. They are not. It's not through their merit that they are there. I know they are corrupt, and they can get away with that, and they can flaunt this in front of everybody. So definitely, for you to say an ordinary person not to, because you go to the ports to get your container, and everybody everywhere is frustrating you. It's just mind-boggling when you go into the Gambian system and see what is going on there. And these are officers that, if you report, you go nowhere with them. So these are some of the things. What we are pleading to the government is to be strict with corruption, because corruption, the legacy that the government want to build, is all been borne down by corruption talk and all those things. And to the extent that even government officials, because if the vice president, the finance minister, these are key people in the health minister. If you have, the press secretary of the president and all those, everybody knows this is happening. So what can we do about this, even at government level? That is so important for the sanity of that country, the Gambia, because corruption, as I said, any country that want to develop has to minimize corruption to the very, very, very minimal level for you to progress. If not, nothing is going to go, and this government will go and leave, because the government is not going to be here permanently. Other governments will come and do the same thing We do all kind of investigations and all the reports are there and nothing will happen. So for that being the case, it is important, Assan, for us to talk about corruption, because as you said in your dissertations or in your assignments, if you want security in any country, you have to limit corruption. Because if not, there is every likely your security arrangements and apparatus are going to fail if people are hungry, if people cannot afford the basic things and all those things. So that takes us to security now, Assan. Because these things are so linked. We started with corruption, because corruption, high cost of living and all those things, what it does is, all over the world, the people are demanding that they cannot afford the basic things and all those things. So that's what corruption do. If corruption has squeezed the government money and government keep borrowing and borrowing, inflation will high at some point. You cannot afford the basic services for your people and people will be unsatisfied. And at some point, they are going to vent that anger one way or the other. No matter how you stop it, one way or the other, people are going to complain about their provisos. Because what is happening is those who are there that didn't deserve anything are flaunting their corruption and all those in front of people. And people, they're all paying their taxes. People are all affected. You don't say Mr. X is a rich man and all those things. Poor people are going to be exempted. They are not going to be taxed. People pay tax all over the place. That's why they have the services back. So security, Assan, that is your domain, definitely. And you've written a lot, as you said it through your so the linkage of corruption and security. Talk to us about the security analysis in the Gambia, and what is your take about it?
Well, the security situation in the Gambia still remains fragile. From 2017 to date, we all knew how we got to where we are today is as a result of we have a tyrant who has a deep root in the system, and then when we try to uproot him, not only did he say no, I'm not going, but when he was going, he went with lots of things that are unquestionable, lot of things that questions were not answered, like personnel went missing, weapons went missing. Right? So things were everything fell apart in terms of security in the Gambia from 2017. Hence why, when we have this economic there, until now, the government is justifying the state of economic in the country, simply because there are lots of unanswered questions. So where we are today is as a result of the poor management we had from 1994 to 2017, and then that's 2017, impasse and everything that surrounds the election until Janneh went, the security issue still remains fragile. And as long as this is not addressed, and it's not addressed properly, it will remain the same until further notice. So how do we tackle this? You see, we've talked about corruption. And then that is in the government level, right? If corruption is happening at health, is happening at education, is happening, they are bad. But the terrible one is at the security level. If our security personnel are corrupt, then forget about instability in our country. It will never be stable. Hence why you are always hearing these murder cases. You are always hearing these armed robberies. You are always hearing these violent attacks on citizens all the time, simply because the security they've gone AWOL. As far as I'm concerned, the security is gone AWOL, right? Gambia is one of the countries where in fact, is the only country that has bordered with one country. In fact, we are almost inside Senegal. The only place you can penetrate Gambia is through Atlantic Ocean. How? Until you are sophisticated, right? So, but to be honest, Senegal has given us that outer protection, right? They've given us that outer protection. All we need to do is to do that border security through these normal armed robberies, and but for an external attacker to come outside the Gambia to attack Gambia, you first have to go through Senegal. So Senegal protect us there. At that level, we are protected by Senegal, right? All we need to do now is our internal security. which should not be rocket science, right? Eliminate corruption, we are going to have a perfect security personnel. They are trying. I'm not saying they are not. They are trying. They are doing the best with the little resources they have. But with the resources they also have, some of those resources are falling into wrong hands, which is the senior rank, right? How can you justify, IG having a convoy of maybe more than five cars, following him? How can you have a deputy, his assistant, the three of them, deputy commissioner of what, deputy commissioner of this, all the commissioners have vehicles, right? Yet a police station in Sarengai don't have a vehicle, and that is a border town. A police station in Jiboro don't have a vehicle. Even if they do, they don't have fuel to patrol. How can any police force justify that? Police resources should be used for policing. It should not be used for the hierarchy to enjoy themselves. That is not how police force work. Police resources should be deployed to police the people, the community, properties, lives, protecting them, right? Reassuring citizens. That is what the police resources do. You reassure your citizens. They go to bed, sleep. They go out to do their normal things without being scared. But what we are seeing in Gambia is citizens are so scared to go on their normal lives simply because when they turn their back, they don't see any security. And that is bad for any country. It deters investment. Also, even citizens to come back from diaspora, we have a pool of resources to come back and invest. It deters them. So security is very, very important. And one of the fundamental things that the Gambia government needs to do now is to invest heavily, put a lot of resources on security by giving them vehicles to patrol, patrol, because visibility is very important in security. When boots are on the ground everywhere, every corner, then it deters criminals or would be criminals. So this is what needs to be done.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Assan. Once again, our viewers all over the world, we have our own brother, Mr. Assan Jaiteh, discussing about issues about security, corruption, and other current affairs that are happening in the Gambia. And this is appreciative, for him to come and give his opinion, because that's what we want, for people to come so that we can put these things on the table. Because we should never forget about these things, because these are, life and death situation for us. Because if the Gambia is destabilized, and all those things, everybody will be affected. Even we are here. Most of us, about over 50%, I can say for myself, about nearly 90% of my investment are in that country, and what I want is to have the stable Gambia, where, my properties, your life, my life, and all those things all can be saved, and all those things. There's a little bit of how we position in these things and give us our constitutional mandate. But what you touch here, Brother Assan, is so important. Because last time I saw a police station, I don't know how the police officers can even sit in that police station. The structure, how it is, you will not even know whether it is a dilapidated house, whether it's whatever, and all those things. So if of these fleets of cars and all those things, we don't even have the courage to take at least one or two or whatever from the convoy of even the vice president's convoy and all those things, and give security. It's security is the station, because our security in Gunjur, there's no transportation there. We requested for one, it came within a month, and whatever, it all went down. And Gunjur, because of the sea, and it's the border to almost closer to Khartoum, there's a lot of traffic that is going on there. But go to the police station, they ask you for fuel, to fuel the car. They ask you, do you have credit in your mobile, so that we can call whoever you are talking about, and all those things. Those are the issues that are happening there. And these things definitely will not going to help us as a country. And I think, the government can do a lot, and sometimes community policing, put people on the ground, as you say, the visibility is a key. Just give them, high vis and all those things. Pay them, let them stroll with their high vis and all of this. Many things that they can do. But I think, for them, and with all these, killings and all these, shoplifting and armed robberies and all those things. But I have the police report. They one of their report that came on. Anyway, they draft this on the 7th of September 2022. Their action plan, action plan against the so-called demonstration, which you are going to talk about. But they said, I'm quoting this directly on page 1, say, although the security situation in the country remains stable, they say stable, as all the armed and security apparatus in the country, including the economic, continue to perform their duties and mandates accordingly. They said newfound democracy, that's post Janneh era, other social issues like high price in basic communities, high deportation of our youth from EU, and all those things, those are their major problems and all those things, and EU and other European countries and all those things, So, and I was just saying, how many people are being deported from all these countries into our country? What can we do about them and all those things? This high price, because security is not only the physical security. It's about, seeing what you can do so that people at least can have basic things in their life, like water and electricity. My place in Gunjur, sometimes the whole day, there will be no water. Sometimes, other places, people have reported that people are going to go and queue in 4 o'clock because the water will come for 2-3 hours. All this compendium of all these things, guarantees security. So any good security will see how you can mix all these things together. It's not about, because if not, if we have all the securities as they said, the paramilitaries, the police, the militaries, and the economic, if it is only physical security, we have nothing to scare. But no, even with all those, we see what is happening there, Assan. So these are so important. That the government and our institutions, not only the government, need to pay attention to, so that at least the country, as we said, nobody is safe in that country now. People are scared. Women's wigs have been scratched from them and all those things. The amount of theft and armed robbery that is happening there is mind-boggling, and all those things. So go ahead, Mr. Jaiteh. You talked about some of these things as a security personnel, and you write a lot about. Go ahead.
Thank you, Ebrima. Thank you, Ebrima. You see, like you've touched on it. Security is not only limited to guns and ammunitions and rifles and stuff. No, you have energy security, you have food security, you have water security. We have seen how these securities have contributed to conflict in many countries. Within the sub-region, especially places like Kenya, places like Mali, places like Chad. These places are not only like personnel fighting each other, but also the other stuff that surrounds them, right? So one thing that most Gambians or officials thought security is for example, when you are being made a minister, all of a sudden we will see maybe 3 or 4 police will be posted at your compound, right? For that moment, you think you are secure, right? We've seen our military personnel, like the CDS will have like bodyguards. We've seen ministers will have orderlies and stuff. That is not security, because when the population are not secure and uprising happen, guess what? Those security personnel are from those houses. They are from those compounds. They will leave their post and go and see their families. And when that happens, you are exposed as an official. You are exposed, and people come for you. This is what I'll give you a classical example, right? If a country don't take security of its territory seriously, few people take it upon themselves to capture that country. And this is what happened in Afghanistan. Because Afghanistan, for the past 20 years, mortgaged their security to outside forces. And those outside forces were only concentrating in protecting the elites. We all seen what happened. Afghan soldiers, you have about 300,000 Afghan soldiers, only for 80,000 Taliban to defeat them. In fact, it wasn't even a push and pull. They just marched into Kabul and seized the country. Because those personnel that were protecting those elites left. It wasn't viable anymore to protect them because they were just protecting an individual and left the whole community. And this is exactly what is happening now, right? Yes, we have economic there. And as long as economic is there, quote unquote, we are secure. But do we know how divided our security is? Do we know how unprepared our security is? Because these people have not been tested since 2017. Janneh left a security that wasn't functional, that was just there, brainwashed for 20 years just to protect him, an individual, protect an establishment. They were not there to protect the community. They were just protecting Janneh's interests. This is what our security was built on, right? That is their mentality, to secure an individual. Now Janneh left, and those soldiers were being sent to barracks. God knows what they are doing there. I might be wrong. Maybe they are going through training. Maybe they are going through orientation. The only time we see their training is when they are going to peacekeeping, right? But we can use our security, advisors could have advised the president to use the military as internal security. Those military personnel could be roaming the streets at night. Forget about the day. Leave that to the police. But at night, right, in Brufut, in Gunjur, in Katong, give them vehicles to patrol, right? During the day, the police can. This is how you engage the security, to be community friendly, to see this community as we are protecting ours. This is ours. This is our job. We are being paid to protect people, life and property. That is the number one job of a security, is to protect life and property, not to sit in the barracks, right? So if our security is being oriented to protect the community, right, and we have their presence within us, every other 2 streets you go, there is bobbies on the ground. Every 2 streets you go, there is a soldier moving about doing patrols. There is a policeman. They have their communication device. They can call for backups. Most of these things we are seeing will not have happened. These past days, I've been listening to a very disturbing audio from this jungler called Sanamanja, and that our security people need to look into that if they are not already, because that is a threat to our security. If this guy can be wherever he is hiding for 6 years, just around the corner, clearly, he's not far, just around the corner, and he is communicating with people in the Gambia, that is cause for concern. That is cause for concern. So this is where I have a problem with how the security is going about in the country. I think it's high time, for those that are responsible for security in our country and those that are advising the president to change course and to take this thing seriously. Because I don't think our security at the moment, is up to that tax when we are being surprised.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Jaiteh. And once again, listeners all over the world, Mr. Jaiteh has served in the military in the United Kingdom until his time is finished, and now he's an intellectual, as you can see. So security is his domain. Not only that, but he's working with charities all over this place. Huge wide range of experiences that are for a young man. So he's talking from an authoritative point of view, and most of his courses and dissertations are about the conflict resolutions and all those things, many things and all those things that he understands. So I'm before coming back to you, greetings to my the people who are commenting on the platform, and I will start with my wife, Maria Majuare, talking about women in Banjul. They have to wake up around 3 a.m. to fetch water because that's the only time water can be available. And other people, I think those are my cousins and brothers from Gunjur, are talking about, you know, our missing 300 and almost 250 people, you know, about nearly, so far the counting we count is about nearly 30 or 30 something came from Gunjur. My own brother is part of it, you know, in those both. Still, the informations, we don't get any information as you are asking, you know, concerning them. We are trying our very best, but, you know, we are not going to talk about this until we are in an authoritative position where we can have credible information and give it to the people. But they have been away for nearly 3 or 4 months now, if I can remember, you know, and nobody knows where we are. Mr. Jaiteh, I'm going to come to this, and you touched this Sanamanjang audio, because I listening to all these things, you know, and I'm scared. I'm really, really, really scared. I don't know why. Sorry, it's not only Sanamanjan. That's why the security sector reform should come. That's why the white paper in TRRC should be enforced, because even within the Gambia, we have some junglers, or almost all of them, roaming. Some are employed, some are being employed. We have information, some are still working, you know, and we have been paid and all those things with our cover. But if people like Sanamanjan can easily, probably he comes to Gambia and go, maybe, you never know, because he's not scared for him to come out and releasing audios and audios and audios. Probably he's in Guinea-Bissau, probably he's in Casamas, and our governments are mute. They are not doing anything about these things. The few people that have been, you know, by law, which contributed a lot, and you know, but he is part of it. And the one that has been caught in America, those are the only 2 people. But in the Gambia, they are roaming the streets and all those things. But for Sanato sending all these threatening things, I think the government should be concerned, you know. And you talk about the economic, you know, which is good. We all welcome that and all those things. But they have to have a timetable, a transition where they can put the security sector reform, you know, do whatever they do and keep our security, and test them, give them the responsibility slowly, because these people are not going to be there forever, you know, so slowly, so that they can take responsibilities and see what they can do, what they cannot do, as you said. Because if they are being redundant into the barracks, not flexing their muscles and all those things, they are going to be obsolete. During Janneh time, credit to him, you know, because he is fear. Janneh is a fearful man. He's a coward. The soldiers are patrolling all the time, because there was a night that I took Brikama Road through Kunkujang through Nyofele to come to Gunjur. Is a shortcut, and I met with full army, full truck with guns and all those things, and they stopped us and asked us where we are going and all those things. So even that, in anybody who's going to operate will have that in their calculation. There will be chance that I can meet with an army patrol and all those things. So those are very, very important. What is your take about all those junglers? You know, either some are in Kasama, some are in Janneh, because at the beginning we had that Sana is in Janneh. You know, some are in the country, but all those are, but within the country, they are free, they're working and all those things. These are potentials that anything can happen, and I think government need to take care of that. You know, I'm not a security personnel, but I'm scared when I heard Sana's audios, and he's just releasing them at will now. Before he used to picture himself and put it on social media. Now he's threatening people. Go ahead, Asad. The implication of all those things.
No, Mr. Janneh, you know, you are not scared. You are concerned, and you have to be. You know, and I'm joining you in that terrain of being concerned. You know, every meaningful Gambian, whether you are in Gambia or you are in abroad, right? Listening to those audios, you should be concerned. You know, it has lots of security implications, loads. And this guy is not even far. And not only him, and you are right, he might be even coming back to Gambia to see his people and go back, right? What are our authorities doing about these people? These people need to be, you know, pursued, you know, caught, bring back to the country and try them. That is, you know, you don't relent until you get them. Capture them, bring them back. That is the only way you can go back to sleep. Because hence they are there. They are now back. They're just waiting for something. They're just waiting for time. And most of the time, you see, this is why people accuse Paul Kagame of being vicious, being someone who goes after his opponent. Paul Kagame don't take chances. And I can tell you this, in security, if you take chances, you are going to be a liability. And if you are a liability, you will be in a body bag. You have to switch on. You have to switch on. We have to switch on as a country that we came from a terrible 22 years of dictatorship. And dictatorship is with a guy who until today doesn't think that he did anything wrong. In fact, to him, Gambians have wronged him, that we need to apologize to him. This is what Yahya Jammeh is still sitting there. And you have people who are loyal to him on the loose, who can come back and cause havoc in our country. And we are sitting there thinking this is just an audio. For 6 years, this guy is loose. And not only him, you know, there is a guy there whom we went to the same school with. Mfansu Nyabali. Mfansu Nyabali went to Nasir, up to grade 11. And this boy, you can tell this boy will cause trouble later on in life. Because at grade 11, he got suspended. And from that suspension, they enlisted him in the army. Imagine somebody who has been suspended by the school authorities for being indisciplined. You take that guy and put him in the army. And this guy, Yahya Jammeh scout him. He knows this how indisciplined he is. He scout him and he become a jungler. That guy is on the loose. And these people, any day they regroup in groups of 3, 4, 5, we've all seen what happened in the carton attack. They were the remnants of November 11, right? You go and pursue these people until you capture them. Then you can relax. But as long as these people are on the loose, for me, I am always concerned about what is going on in our country.
Yes, I am very, very, very concerned. As I said, you know, Gambia is where my families are. 99% of who I am are still there. My investments are there. I will be aggrieved, you know, immensely to see the destabilization of that country. You know, this is just a concern, and it might be somewhere, probably somebody somewhere will hear this and think the implications of all these things that are happening around us, you know, especially with all the things that are happening around us as a country, you know, to have people who we know are professional killers who killed and killed and killed, you know, the guy not only keeping quiet, but boldly to come out and discuss and get himself into Gambian issues and kind of laughing at people, you know, that he's free and all that, but he don't have to hide because, you know, within our own country, people who have been in those situations, they are not being monitored. They are just living there. Even though if we said, you know, they are loose, they are walking and all that, they should not walk at all until
no,
we
but
know
Ibrima, this guy is not even hiding. He is talking to people in the Gambia. Presumably, he is talking to a platform. I don't know whether it's a radio platform or whatever platform is, because it's an interview. You can clearly hear that guy is saying, "Oh, you know, prison." So this guy, these people are in Gambia. It's not even hard to get these people, right? And let me tell you one thing that Gambians get confused of. When you see, security is wide, and security personnel can call anybody, I mean anybody, for questioning, right? Whether it's arrest or inviting them for questioning. If they are concerned, because this is their domain, right? If they are concerned, they can call you for questioning, and then follow up that question until they get to what they are looking for, right? So for these people that are talking to Sanamanja, right? Sanamanja is a fugitive. He's on the run, right? He's an interest that Gambia government need him, right? So if Sanamanja is talking to somebody in the Gambia, the security have every right to question that person. They have every right to question that person. So go and get these people, interrogate them, tell them where maybe what they are talking on that audio is what is pleasant for me and you to hear. What they are planning on the knee is not known.
Yes.
So go on to, because these people are in Gambia, they're talking to Sanamanja. Sanamanja could tell them the time, if in fact in the next 2 weeks the president is going on a tour, right? And you know how fragile Foni is. So who knows what these people are planning, right? So for me, you know, they need to pursue these people. pursue them with their comparators that are in Gambia, who they are talking to, the people that are collaborating with, know what they are doing, put surveillance on them, and then you can get to the root bottom of this. But leaving them like that, thinking we have human right there. If you call somebody to question, human right will start shouting. People will start shouting. Hey, even a minister, the police can invite a minister for questioning. It doesn't mean that you arrest. Yeah, you see here, you see this stop and search. Policing is, if you can justify yourself. Here in this country, the police work with a tool called NDA, National Decision Making, right? If you can justify your actions, you are good to go. As long as you can justify, right? People start talking about, more black people have been, stop and side than Congo, right? But when they come to, when you talk to these policemen, they will tell you, right? Especially now is that, right? From 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock is that. You see somebody with a hoodie, right? And he put a hoodie here, mask his face. Obviously, you're gonna stop him and ask where he's going, right? But if a policeman did not do that, and that guy went to the next door and break there and caused crime, they will look at CCTV camera and know that a policeman has passed this guy without questioning. So that policeman will be in trouble. You have to account for your presence. That is what security is. Security don't take chances. In this country, even a bleach, if you buy bleach with quantity of bleach, right, they will come and knock at your door. Because you know what that bleach does? I don't want to say it here. But they can change that bleach into something that will cause havoc, right? A bleach, which is legal to sell in the shops. But you go and buy certain quantity, right? Don't pay it with your card, because if you pay it with your card, they will trace that card, come to your door, knock at your door, and ask you, why did you buy this quantity? Bleach. So imagine that, that is national security. That is how this country is. This is how concerned the security in this country are, because they know what they are dealing with, right? They are dealing with the dark web. So Gambia, what we are dealing with is, we are dealing with criminals who rule our country for 22 years, and most of them are in a loose, right? And now they are talking to people in the country. What do? Go and get them.
Yeah, definitely. And this one is so apparent. These people are wanted, and they are talking to people on the ground freely. You have to call those people and ask them, because you can detain people according to Gambian law for 72 hours, and question them why they are talking to them and all those things. Or you put a surveillance on them. So, but surveillance and all those things. But this is a very, very big concern. I hope, somebody somewhere that's close to the president and all the security chiefs, we don't know what they are up to, but to address these things, definitely some of the things that they are not mentioned as security threat. I think those are the biggest security threat, that country is facing. And as you said, if Mr. Nyabali is a dropout and he's recruited into the military, there are a lot of people who have never even been to school and they are there. They didn't go any training and all those things. That's why the security sector reform is very, very important, so that we can sieve people and put credible, very, very effective, lean security that they know what they are doing and all those things. And Assan, also, we have a lot of Gambians here all over the place that have served the militaries all over the world. These people, the government should not scare of them. They should call them, internalize them, put them there. That's what we want. It's just like we have Gambians. If you qualified with your papers and your masters, your PhDs and all those, you go and be taken into the government. So if people do security training in one of the top better countries, one of the top countries in the world, and they are in terms of security and all those things, work with them and see how can you use the Gambian talent. They are all over the place. Don't be scared of them. They mean one thing that we can argue and all those things, but the diaspora Gambians, they mostly they mean well for that country. They want to give everything to their country.
No, but Ibrahim, I don't cut you off it there because I don't want to forget about this. You see, allegiance. You see, allegiance, love of a country. You see, because some of us who serve in the British Army, you know, there is certain posts or there are certain careers in the British Army. If you are not born in this country, you cannot go into them, right? Because they know that you have allegiance to another country. So for those, I just want to portray this point that you are talking about, the Gambians in diaspora, right? You have lots of Gambians who serve in the British Army, and right now they are serving in high positions. Some are sergeant majors, right? Some are sergeants, some are platoon commanders, right? Some are captains, right? So what you could do is, you know, invite these people. We love Gambia more than we love anywhere. Like you said, most of us, our investment we have in the Gambia, even if it's not material, but our parents, our siblings, right? You can replace a house, you can replace cars, but can you replace a brother? Can you replace a mom? So the allegiance we have for Gambia, the love we have for Gambia, you know, is high up there. So invite these people. You see, most of the time, progressive countries open their doors to immigrants. Much more, they are diasporans. The reason why America is where America is today is America invite talent wherever it is, wherever it comes from, right? Most of these top companies in America, you know, are owned by citizens, American citizens who were not born in America. American citizens, the richest man in America today, you know, this guy, Tesla, the guy who owns Tesla, he's not an American, he's from South Africa. Yeah, right? Right? So you see, us Gambia here, us Gambians in diaspora. But the problem is, right, you have a blockage. You have people who are scared of losing their position. You have people who are scared of being marginalized by the presence of diasporans, because with the wealth of knowledge and experience, you know, the diaspora have and the exposure, you know, they are scared of losing their position. This is why, you know, you have them there, hanging there, you know, not wanting to open the doors. I'm not talking about experience here, because I've not gone to Gambia for so long. I'm talking about reading online from doctors, right? Professors who left America to come and work in Gambia. Only for when they go to offices, you know, people will be hiding. Tell him I'm not here, right? So if you have people who are operating like that, they don't want to invite talent, they don't want to invite experience, they don't want to invite exposure, right? That country will always be ruled by people who don't know how to move things. So that is what we are facing with, right? But you see, for me, the reason why I support this government is I don't want it to be that way. I don't want to be pushed around. I don't want to sit on the fence. I want to give back to my country, right? In whichever way I can. So I will not be pushed around by people who want to be a blockade. That's not going to happen. We all have, if you have interest of the country, right? You can contribute in any way. You don't have to be in the Gambia, right? You can write to them. You can speak to people. You can give them advices, right? And this is what some of us have been doing for the past whatever year. But one thing we cannot do is, Ibrahim, is we say ko ilamasa kundalo walinga tuji. No. Because atinyata mbele. This security we are talking about, if the country is not secured, you and I will not go to Gambia, right? Yes. And those in Gambia will try to leave Gambia. So amantinya mbele, so well, that's why security is very, very important that we take this thing seriously. Because if we don't, we are going to lose one of the most precious things that we have. That is that small country called the Smiling Coast.
I agree. Thank you so much, Assan. You know, Wokumayata Baba Kele, you know, the government should not be scared of diaspora. And And because all our money goes there, diaspora, and the contribution they made to the GDP at some point during COVID time that went up to 40-something%. But at any time it's 25% upward. Then anything, any institutions, any sector, diaspora, the money that they send, and that's only official one. For example, brother Assan, if we are going to Gambia and I give you $2,000 or £2,000 or £20, that doesn't go through the forex bureaus. You just go and take that to my people straight away. They didn't capture those things. So, but the rough estimate is, that's why we're saying. But it's so important for this government not to be fearful of the diaspora. There are always going to be people who are not good and all those things. That's everywhere. But definitely there's talent in medicine, in nurses, in military, in all fields, IT and all those things. Some of our we can digitize, most of our things, and for free by Gambians all over the place. So digital technology, Gambians knows it in and out, and Gambians are all over the place because I follow media, social media a lot, and support the talents, and all those things all over there, and people are willing to give to their country because sometimes they think you are sitting there, but no, the commitment, the love we have for that country, you don't even know, you who are sitting there, and you just blame it. But Mariama C, he said, do we have the tools to monitor some of these renegades people, the junglers who are in the country? There are only a few. One car of the presidential convoy, one car of vice president's convoy, one car of inspector general convoy, one car of all these managing directors, because their cars are millions and millions and millions of dollars, can create a little bit of surveillance. These tools are there. Go to China, go to some of the places. They's things are easy.
They're not expensive. They're not expensive. They're not expensive. Like you said,
are not expensive. So Gambia we can definitely 100% afford this. Not to the level of maybe Britain or Senegal or whatever, but Gambia there should not be any police station in the Gambia without a car, without a mobile, without fuel in those places. That shouldn't be. So definitely we have the resources to do it. Go ahead.
You see, that reminds me, you talk about convoy. Today, King Charles is in Yorkshire. I was in York today, and King Charles was coming in with his convoy. Guess what? 3 cars with 5 motorbikes. Just 3 cars with 5 motorbikes.
See?
These motorbikes, one will zoom to a nearest roundabout, block that roundabout. The other one will go further. 3 will be back, and those 3 will overlap. This is, you see, bro, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. Even since the Janneh's time, to have a convoy of 30 cars escorting the president. If you want to take, I don't want to say that because that is security implication. But it's very easy. That is you exposing yourself to danger, right? All you need as a president when you go to airport, right? You need 3 cars. You need 3 cars and motorbike. Gambia be doing nyami. Gambia be asila fula biji. Karaba Avenue, Ebrima kai, the Tabokoro Road and in the Coastal Road, right? So all you need to do is, pick where you're going, and you have a sweeper, and then the other one you just go. You don't need to lift your hands up and people see you. Everybody knew you are the president. But no, they will make you believe, if you go with all of us, you are safe. And this is where you're spending a lot of money on fuel, on other resources where what you said, cut those convoys, and then you can buy these resources for the police. The police need to have more cars than these politicians. How can a politician, how can a minister have a car and a car for his family, and have a fuel allowance, and the police station don't have fuel allowance? You see, one thing about our country is, right? Everybody, and if I said everybody, it means all of us, including me, if I am put there tomorrow. Because you know how we you see, these things are behaviors that we pick since we are young, right? For instance, make me a teacher, right? In that classroom, I will try to go home with a chalk. If I get to the store I will go with an exercise book and a pencil and give it to my kids or to my siblings. And nobody sees anything wrong with that, right? And that is from the teacher's level. Make that teacher a headmaster. He will now go with school provisions. Make that headmaster a regional director. He will go with resources from his office and make that guy a permanent secretary. Bam, that is the corruption we now see, right? We grow up with these things. When we are doing it when we are young, we don't see anything wrong with this, right? And that's the same with that permanent secretary. When that teacher now qualified to be headmaster, now qualified to be permanent secretary, and now qualified to be giving policies, writing policies for the government, you know what he will do? He will try to feed those politicians with this bogus claim that you are not safe.
Yes.
So what they will do is they will try to protect you first and leave the rest. Yes. While if they protect the rest, you are protected as well.
Oh, you are safe.
And this is where our priorities can change, Janneh. You know, if you talk to ordinary Gambian, they will tell you go Gambia be Koliari, right? But look at that person who is telling you Gambia be Koliari. That person, instead of you go and buy a bag of rice to feed his family, I Sadio sang, I Janon Kumandi, I Bayol sang, by killing the Pula Sabanani. And this person, what this person will do is, for that day or for that 2 days, he will be the king of the coin, right? Everybody will talk about him. And then this same person will now come and tell us, go, Gambia Koliari. You see where our priorities lie?
Yes, definitely. Assan, I agree with you. That's why we have the young man here to give us his opinion, and more people can come and discuss issues that are with them, because it is time is now for us to come out and discuss these things and raise these things, you know, so that we can put pressure, we can expose those who are doing this, because, you know, the public awareness, the public knowledge of issues is so fundamental in any democracy. That's why, you know, people need to come out, the outlets and all those, they have their bots, but what they are doing is to raise issues and all that. And this is important for public consumption, because the more we know, the more we will see the wrong, because this giving and these petty corruptions here, as you said, we it's embedded in us, you know, our culture, our everything needs to be transformed so that we can have an outlook, you know, that will have, you know, a greater focus on the issues, on the materials of the country, so that we can preserve them, not only for us, but the generation that to come. Because if not, we are going to go out and be condemned into the fringes of high societies in other places, where sometimes we are not being used, our skills, our talents are not being used. We are just there for the sake of there, you know, and we live our minds into our country, the countries that are on a daily basis going back. But this is self-inflicted on us, by ourselves, not anybody else. You know, Chairman Badi Alaji Bamfa says, don't you think corruption is entrenched from outside as well as within? That is outside the government and within the government. Clearly, as Assan said, corruption is a malaise within most developing countries, especially in African south of the Sahara, and a symptom of weak government infrastructure. I think we should have to look within our own self, our attitudes to duty, service, and those we serve, and our culture of extravagance. You see, Assan, that's what you are talking about. You know, that's definitely what you were talking about, because our culture of satisfying, you know, the high societies, you know, doing big things, you know, and all those things, you know, sometimes, you know, because I saw ministers that will be in their office with bags and bags full of money, and they were giving up. People are queuing, they are doing this. Mr. X will come and tell you, you know, I had this naming ceremony, we have a program and all those things. You just take the money from the bag and give it to them. That has been the culture, and every one of us are affected in these things, you know. But, you know, these people need to be accountable, because if those people know that bag of money that they are giving out, dishing out to people, they are going to be accounted at the end of the year. Probably they are going to think twice about it. You know, my own sister, Sister Barrow Toure Saho, says, unfortunately, sometimes these convoys pass a safety risk on the road. They pose a safety risk on the road, you know, leading to loss of life many times. Assan, I think you are going to come there, because we see Janneh, how many people that Janneh killed on the road and all those things, and nobody stops because of the convoy is too big to the extent that, but I see the replica of that happen. There was a day I was counting Barrow's convoy, big SUVs, 28. That's what I count. SUV 28. The fuel cost of those, one of those can buy probably 3 pickup vans for the police stations. One of those SUVs. Most of the time they are factory made. They don't buy them. They're made from in the factory, because we see Janneh, he will write his names. He will, all the emblems will be there. Customized for Janneh's need only. And Maimuna C said, we really need to end this corruption identity. Definitely. As an all this in the Allied Bamfa, what he says, and Barrow, what he said, the security risk of this convoy, the expenses and all those things, and brother, I went to certain places. I'm not going to name the department. Those departments, when you go there as a junior manager, after 1 year, you are entitled to about nearly $750,000 for car loan. And those departments, they are not delivering. They are being subsidized heavily by the government. That 150,000 just as a junior manager, people will take it, buy a car, maybe 200,000, buy taxi for their own businesses and all those things, and save the rest of the money. The fleet of cars that are in those offices, you cannot just believe these are the companies that are not delivering, and they are being heavily subsidized by the government. So things need to change. If we align things a little bit different, and those people, each of those, not only with their driver, but they have coupons. Because I have somebody there that will give me about nearly $400 of coupon. Just say, take it, boy. You people, you don't have anything, and all those things.
But this is exactly what we are talking about. And then these things you don't even have to be like an intellectual to know these things. You don't even have to be a subject matter expert to know these things, right? This is in the open. You see, most of these people that are crying foul here, right? The department you're talking about, another department that also somebody can highlight, like social security. It has been on the news. People in social security, classical example, the lady from Sweden, Mama Linge, who was once shouting about corruption in the government. She went there within a month. Within a month, she was given a car loan. And Father Rimbai, may he so rest in peace, put that on his paper, right? And his family, I'm sorry, her family, the lady's family, go after Father Rimbai, right? For him being jealous, envy and all that. This is what Gambians do at best, right? When you highlight their hypocrisy, when you highlight their deficiencies, right? They will not come after you directly, but their families will come after you. They're jealous, take you low, all sorts of rubbish adjectives they can use on you. But this is all that Bamfa and Maimuna and Mariama and Barrow highlight here. We will be talking about these things, and now that we have this democratic dispensation where we citizens can agree and disagree. The only thing that I would ask for from the Gambians is, let's have this type of dialogue. Let's come out and talk. Let's come out and agree to disagree without seeing each other as enemies. Because once we do that, we are enabling someone. Once we don't talk in civility, we are enabling someone. Because not everybody want to come and talk and being chastised. Not everybody want to come and talk and being, his name being pulled left, right, and center, right? In democracies, people need to come and sit down and talk, exchange ideas. Because guarantee there is somebody sat there who probably you might think he's not interested, but he might pick 1 or 2 things that you are saying and go and implement them and correct the wrongs, right? This is what we need to do as people, right? We will continue to talk. Even for some of us, sometimes we even though we support the government, but our views sometimes, are so indifferent with what these people are doing that we'll be classed as opposition. But those things don't bother me, because there is this Nigerian doctor I was chatting with, he told me the same thing. I said to him, but you've retired now. Why don't you go to Nigeria? He said, my son, I want the stuff I have here to have the same thing in Nigeria. Because at my age, I cannot afford to go to Nigeria to collapse, and I don't have anybody who will help me. So that's why he goes there all the time to train them, so that when something happened to him, they can able to help him before they fly him back. So all of us here, we have the same intention. Be UDP, be it APRC, well, no, not APRC, because we've given them a chance and they blow it. Be it GDC, be it other oppositions. One common denominator in all of us is to see Gambia progress.
Yes, yes.
I've not seen a political party or a political surrogate who will say, no. You really hear cowards and idiots talking that way. But majority of these political actors, they all have the same thing in common, which is to progress Gambia. And some of us who support these political actors, we are following, we are amplifying those messages, right? So it's just that we all have different ways of how we think Gambia should be run, but we all have the same intention, which is to progress, right? So because that we all have the same intention to progress the Gambia, we can all sit down in one table and exchange ideas, how to progress, right? That is one thing I would welcome in this, which some people say, so-called democratic space that has been created since 2017.
Yeah, definitely. And we have a platform that people can come and freely discuss whatever, as far as we don't insult people anyway. And people will come here and express their opinion. That's not our opinion, that's their opinion. But what we need to do is, we're not, because we are all related one way or the other. Let's not just see one second name and think he's this, he's that. You are missing a lot. Most of the Gambians, if only you check their first name and you just box them into a group, you are missing a lot. Because Gambia is so mixed. I've never seen a country that are so interrelated, that are so married, that one parent is this, one parent is that, the grandfather or grandmother is from this and those, to the extent that, so anytime you do that, what we can do is, let's see the Gambia, because we want that country to develop so that we can put our heads high, because no matter what we get here is somebody's country. At any time, a child that is 5 years or 8 years or 9 years will call you and say, go back home, no matter how you stay here, because that happened to me many, many times, even though I've been here for ages and ages. Somebody that's born yesterday can tell me, just go home and all those things.
But today in France, in the assembly, in the National Assembly,
exactly,
the parliamentarian told his colleague to go back.
Exactly, African Parliament. But the level of feeling that I have when I touch my foot in the Gambia, I cannot have that anywhere in my life. So, and I get so insulted if you tell me you are sitting in Europe, you don't come to Gambia, you don't like the Gambia and all those things. Those are ignorant things anyway. But Assan, we spent about 1 hour 30 minutes, and I didn't think we are going to do that. We are going to come to the homecoming, of Basse, because there's a grand program coming that the citizens of Basse are going home, from diaspora, because they have this good intention to go and kind of focus attention to that important place that, for somehow we kind of forget about Basse. And Basse is the second capital of the Gambia. I'm telling you, and it used to be a vibrant place and all those things. But because of internal migration, a lot of people just migrate and went to the capital. When they go for holidays, sometimes they sit around those enclaves. They don't even travel. But anytime you go to that place, you are marketing your place. So that is so important for these people to come together as citizens. I have a program, I have the topic, but I cannot go into that topic. That is about the demonstration that is coming up. But we're going to do that next time anyway. But today we're going to discuss about the homecoming. That is about, I think, on the 28th to on the 23rd.
28th.
Exactly, 28 to on the about nearly 2 or 3 days, 28th of December, and all that. And that's the festive time. Assan, tell people, what they were, because my grandparents came from Basse, and I don't know whether Kosemar is part of Basse or not anyway.
It is. It is.
Exactly. So probably if I am there, I will come there so that I can have that link with my grandparents in Kosemar and all those things. What is there, Assan, for people? What are you going to do, and what is the intention? Tell us about the homecoming of people from Basse that are going to go, that is happening in December. Go ahead, Assan.
Yeah, this homecoming, has been planned for so long, because of series of events that were happening in the past years. It could not, so we thought about doing it this year. These are Friends of Basse. Is a collective of people from Basse. Whether you are when we say Friends of Basse, it's not limited to only natives, right? You have many people who went to school in Basse. You have many people through their career worked in Basse. You have many people who have other connections in Basse, through marriage, through like yourself, and your grandparents, others, through friendship, just loving the place. So hence why we call our group Friends of Basse. Majority of us are in diaspora, and then we do lots of help in Basse, in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of religious, at the mosques and stuff like that. So what we plan is, to have the reunion of Basserians from diaspora to come to Basse, where some of us have not seen some of my friends since we left school. I've not seen some of my brothers since they traveled. No. And they're in America, they're in Germany, they're in elsewhere. We only see each other when we go to Basse. And funnily, there is a sister in UK. We went to school together up to grade 12. When we finished, 1 year down the line, she traveled to Guinea and then end up in UK. She was in UK and I am in UK until 2017. During that impasse, we went to Gambia, and that is when I bumped into, with her on the streets in Basse. Imagine, it was just coincidence. It was just holidays. He was there, I was there. And this is what happened with many of our friends. You don't see each other until you go on holiday, and then you will hear, they said, oh, so was here last week and he's gone. So what we want to do this time is we inform everybody from January, say, look, this is happening in December. So if you have any plans in going to Basse, in going to Gambia, push it till December. And many bought that idea. And then we go. So what we plan to do is to revive the culture, the ambience in December in Basse. Because when I was young, December in Basse was the place to go, right? But over the years, that has disappeared. And many, just like you said, rural urban migration, many went to Comba, never came back. So we want to build a multi-purpose hall, library, leisure center, and other sporting facilities for Basse, right? In order to do this, we want to, when we do this homecoming reunion, we want to do fundraising, which is only 28, because, all these things cannot go in the absence of fun, right? So we want to do fundraising, and who better to bring, in Basse than our Jalingara, Jaliwa, the Kora master, our main man in Gambia, Jaliwa Kuyate. And then, Jaliwa Kuyate will come, and then our chief guest of honor, is the First Lady. And then, everybody knew where First Lady came from, right? She came from Basse. So she's our sister. We're not inviting her as a politician. We are inviting her as our sister, our in-law, some people's auntie, others' mom, sees us. We're inviting her as our sister with a portfolio. Come and grace our occasion. And then other politicians as well. Mama Kande is from Basse. My party is from Basse. Sidi Ajata is from Basse. Suebu Ture is from Basse. So all these people and all our MPs in URR, 7 of them, will all be invited. And this will be used as a unity, a platform to unite the region. because we all knew what happened in the last presidential election, right? So we will unite, we will use it as a unity platform to bring all these people together. But also we will have programs for, you know, almost every sector, right? We will have football and volleyball, you know, the next day. And then another important segment in this homecoming is the, you know, the honoring our heroes, right? There is a day that we will sit down and then have a meeting with the stakeholders. And in that meeting, we will honor our heroes. What I mean by honoring our heroes is, and this idea can be replicated by many towns and regions in the country. I want to sell you this idea, right? Quite often, Gambia, we don't honor our people until when they die. And when they die, we say, oh, listen, some people, we don't even know the good things they did until they die. People start saying, he did A, B, C, and D, right? If you honor that person when he is alive, that could motivate the person to do more. That could motivate the person to teach others to do more of what he is doing, right? It's a source of motivation, right? So this is what we want to do. We want to honor our heroes that are alive, but also remember those who died, right? Classical example, I'll give you 2 examples. There is this guy called Master Jal, and if many people listen to President Barrow's interview, you know, he will mention his name, you know, Master Jal or Musa Jal. This guy is an educator, you know, he's a master. You know, he taught President Barrow, right? And he taught many people who are high up in the government at the moment. This guy will go out of his way, right, to lodge students in his house, in his compound, right? Give them breakfast, give them shelter, give them everything, educational need for them to go to school if he sees potentials in you, right? This guy is so active in our sports, right? He nurtured most of us when we are growing up, buying us footballs, doing stuff, right? People like this, he so rest in peace, passed away. People like this need to be remembered, right? Explain their story to people so that, you know, those who are there now want to do it, but they don't know how, or they don't think it's doable, can be motivated, right? There are nurses there, auxiliary nurses, who will wake up 3 o'clock in the morning to attend bath of people. This lady was there when I was growing up. Probably he attended our bath, right? And she passed away. Nobody talked about her, right? Oh. There are people there now who retired involuntarily or voluntarily, retired, you know, but their source of income is not even so. People now see them as, what was this guy doing? But these are the people who gave that community a strong foundation. But nobody talked about them. Now they're there. Some of them are blind. Some of them are handicapped. Nobody talked about them. How do we revive these people? How do we tell their story to the upcoming generation? Right? That is what the honoring of the heroes is. And I want people that are listening to this, you know, to replicate this in their communities. Right? This particular honoring of our heroes, replicate it in your communities. Celebrate your heroes. Celebrate your people who did good for the community. Give them recognition that they deserve. If they passed away, give it to their family so that they can be proud of what their parents did. If they are alive, celebrate them on that day so that, you know, it can motivate others. That is what we are going to do one of the days. And the last day, which is the 31st, for the first time, you know, in Basse, we want to do fireworks, welcoming the year, the new year, with ambience, with a smile in the sky. Boom, everybody enjoy. We get into the feel of welcoming the new year, like we do here. You know, even if you don't go to, you know, the fireworks here, you know, you see the London fireworks on BBC. You feel happy at that moment when that firework is going off, right? And that happiness, you are getting into the new year with happiness, with positivity, with joy, right? That joy we wish continue to the year, so that it can be a progressive year for us. This is what we want to do in Basse for the first time, you know, welcome the new year with a bang, that everybody will be like happy and welcome the new year, get into the new year so that we can progress as a society. That is what we have for you in the homecoming.
This fantastic. If I am in the Gambia, I will grace this occasion, because not only the family route, but I told you this young man is brimming with ideas, and these are fantastic ideas at grassroots level, and we should develop them. And place when you go there, fantastic places are in Basse. Showcase them and put them on the internet, because you are ambassadors of those places. So that people can see, because the young people now, they don't travel that much, especially to go to the provinces and know what is there. So it is important so that people can know, because if you see people hitting their chest and say, I'm from the capital and all those, they don't know what is in the provinces anyway, because the beauty that is there, the life, the fresh air, the everything, the nature that is there, need to be showcased so that our people can know. And this is fantastic idea. When we have all this diaspora and converge in that place, probably that will motivate a lot of people who are around Combo areas that are also going to join them, so that, the places like Kosemar, where people are, the young man have left the village or the town, and, they can go back and see their people. And this gives you some feelings that you can get nowhere in your life. So this is so important, Mr. Jaiteh. And I wish you all the luck. And if there's anything in terms of fundraising and all those things, even if it's going to be £10, I want to donate it, even if I am not going to go, as a token of appreciation, not only as my paternal grandmother is from that area, but definitely this is a good initiative. And I implore everybody, the diaspora, so that they can organize such things. When they go and look for a project, and make sure you identify that project. At the end of your program, you go back, and sponsor that project. If that will be, high blood pressure, diabetes things, and all those things, just do it. Any little thing help, so that we can help our people, not only celebrating them, but we can have a big impact, because we are blessed to be here. We are blessed to be open to all these developments and all those, even if you don't have the money, but this is what I can do. You are very self-aware because of the environment you are. Let's see what we can do in order to transfer those knowledge, in order to transfer those benefits that we have here to our people, because they need it. Remember, these are the people that put their resources together. These are the people that put their sleepless life together for us to be where we are today. Because we came here equipped with discipline. We came here equipped with our faith. We came here equipped with wide understanding, at least at basic level, of where to go, where not to go. This is why we were able to come and stand on our 2 feet to be where we are in this country, melt into the society. No matter how difficult we are, we were able to wage our way through this society, and here we are. So remember that doesn't come from the sky. Somebody somewhere has to sleep on the floor for you to be that way. Let's give back to that society one way or the other. Gambia will work. Gambia can killing and deny them sekanam. So on that note, Assan, we will stop here and give and thank to people here. Might be 1 minute and we can close the program, because it's almost 2 hours now we've been here. I didn't think we are going to go, but the discussion is fantastic. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ebrima. Thank you very much for inviting me in this platform. GunjurOnline is family. I'm a family, and inshallah, when I go to Gambia, I'll go to Gunjur because I'm not far from there anyway. To Janneh and Gunjur, but in all seriousness, I'm really glad and happy that you avail this platform for me to come and share little we have, because this is an interaction. I learn a lot from what you are saying. You learn a lot from what I'm saying, and I hope the viewers also benefit from what we've just discussed here. That is why we came. We didn't come because we just want to, but we come to share the little we know. And by sharing, we all can learn from it, and it can be beneficial for everybody. And thank you very much for everybody that was watching and would be watching. And if I said anything here that is disturbing, that's from me, and you all know it's not intentional. But anything that we've said here that is beneficial, that is by the will of Allah, and together as a country, we will move forward if we are having this type of dialogues. We were divided during these elections. We were divided before this election, and we will continue to be divided by subsequent elections coming. One is around the corner. But one thing we cannot afford as a nation, is being further divided to the point that we want to slut each other's throat. That will not help me, that will not help you, that will not help our siblings that are going. One thing that we can do is to agree, to disagree, but with the focus is, the common denominator is the progressive Gambia. On that note, I say assalamu alaikum to you all, and thank you very much, GunjurOnline.
Thank you, Assan. Thank you for dignifying us with your wisdom. The sweep of your erudition is being sown here. And thank you for your energy. Thank you for your optimism. I pray that the Gambia will move and progress. I pray that our leaders will reflect and see the bigger picture, that is the progress of Gambia, so that we can leave a legacy for our children, so that they don't go into the deep blue sea to go and find a greener pasture in somebody's backyard, so that that country can have a health system, that our mothers and sisters and wives will not be scared to go to hospital because they think the chances of dying is higher there, where traffic will be organized to the extent that the unnecessary death of our people will be curtailed, where the leaders will see the bigger picture, so that they don't go and steal the money that is going to generate fund, that is going to make that country develop for the future generation, so that they don't only be beggars, to only go to people and bend down and reduce themselves and cringe and crunch, so that they can have a food that they will put in their mouth, so that our kids can have a better education, an education system that we can be proud of and compete with anybody, so that our people can be respected into our country. No foreigner will come and sit on the head of our people just for the sake of it, because he's giving bribery, he's giving money or bribe to our officials, to the extent that we honor them, we respect them more than our indigenous Gambian that are born and bred in that country, so that the youth will not be reduced to nothing because they are on drugs, because the life is so difficult for them, to the extent that they are debating whether to get married or not. The denigration of all these things that are happening. I pray to God that this thing will stop, so that we will be blessed with leaders that are going to unite us and make us a progressive country, a small country that will have back the smiling like it used to be, smiling coast, and smiling coast. Once again, we say good night to all of you, and tomorrow we'll have Imam Sid Ali Janneh here in celebrating the birthday of Prophet Muhammad. We are going to talk about Prophet Muhammad and the black, very, very close people that are there with Prophet Muhammad. The classic Islamic scholars spent anything around Prophet Muhammad white, and take our black cousins there. And these black people from Prophet Muhammad's birth, and they play key roles, not only Bilal, but many, many of them. And we are going to discuss that tomorrow. If you have time, please tune in, so that these fantastic things, and we can know the role that we played, in Islam, in the life of Prophet Muhammad. Even our own scholars, they misunderstand this, because they only refer to these classical books that paint Prophet Muhammad's sides white and put all the blacks out of it. But we are going to expose this. Now the knowledge are out, we can do our own research and bring these facts, I said. So tomorrow we will see you here, 7 o'clock. Thank you so much. Greetings to my boss, Lamin Jami, and all the viewers and GunjurOnline staffs. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you.